pour drop by drop by squeezing these little cups like that. So now we would set that aside and let that cure. And here we have a mold where some of the pieces have cured to the hard stage. So to pop castings out of your mold, you just flex them like you would an ice cube tray. Okay, that kind of releases the vacuum. And then you just take, did you hear that snap? And this one had already snapped. Now, anytime you don't fill the cavity, like maybe you only filled it a fourth full or a third full, it is a little bit harder to get them out of the mold. And so what I do is I just take one of my stir sticks and I just use that to break that seal. And it does sometimes take a little bit more, and then sometimes you just kind of gotta whack it on the table, okay? If you overfill them just a little bit, you can trim them off with scissors, and then you can go back and file them a little bit. And this is when you really must wear a mask, a dust mask. But I like to use just a little nail file. It has the different grits on it. So I can start with a heavier grit and then move down to the finer grit. But if you don't have a lot of filing that you need to do, just go straight to the finer grit. And so if you have a little bit of filing that you need to do, go ahead and do that. And so you can use the nail file. If you need to do some shaping or something, or a lot of filing, you can use a rotary tool. And what I like to use is one of these bits that allows me to put on some wet dry sandpaper, like a 1,000 grit or 2,000 or something. And if you want to wet the piece, all you need to do is just take your little spray bottle and spray your piece. This is going to be loud. What I like to do is let the battery run down and use it on a not so strong battery. But this is going to be loud because it's just been charged. And that very quickly takes care of any sanding that you need to do. And for the dull finish that the sanding does, you can, if you have a little bit of your liquid resin left over, you can take one of the little disposable brushes here and take a little bit of that liquid resin and brush that on. And then let it set up. You need to elevate it on something so it's not sitting on something flat and will stick to the flat surface, and then you'll have it spread out all over again. You have to do it all over again. Another thing that you can do if you want to get, if you've sanded and you want to get that gloss back, is you can take your piece, and if you're happy with the back, maybe you did some sanding and you need to high gloss the back, then go ahead and take your paintbrush, dip it in some wet resin, high gloss your back, and let that cure. And then take some high quality packing tape and put that on the back of your piece. High quality so that when you need to take it off, you're not having to do little bitty strips. It won't peel off in little bitty strips. And then take a skewer of some kind and hot glue that onto the back so you've got something to hold on to. And then with some wet resin, you can take your piece that you've sanded and is a little dull and you can take and dip that into some wet resin. And that will give you your high gloss back to your piece, and you can take your brush and kind of brush off the drips while it's still wet, and then just poke it in some styrofoam here and let it drip until it's dry. And then once it's dry, you can snap off that glue and peel off your tape, and peeling off the tape will peel off any drips too that dried there on the bottom, where if you didn't have the tape there, you would have to be sanding off those drips. Okay, that'll give you your high gloss back to anything that you've sanded. Okay, now we're ready to mark the location for the eye pins, and you'll need 5 on the body, 1 on the head, and 1 on each arm, 1 on each leg. And I just kind of eyeballed it, and so took my eye pen and kind of, okay, that's the middle there, and marked where I was going to drill, and tried to kind of get it even across there for the arms. And then the legs were the corners here and here. And then for the head, I tried to be even with where the indentation is for the heart. And so just marked there. And then also I marked on the top here where I might want to put some type of hair or ornamentation or something on the top of the head. And for the arms, where they would there, and then the legs there. For drilling the holes, you can use a little hand drill like this, and you really don't want to hold the pieces in your hand, so I have this little setup here where I have a clamp that holds the piece and then a clamp that holds the clamp to the table, and then this is just a little plexiglass with a cutout piece here for the clamp. So you can use a little hand drill where you have the mark and drill your hole there. Or you can use your rotary tool, and this is going to be loud, and your rotary tool is going to kind of wobble on you, but that's okay. That's just kind of giving you an area to where it will eventually drill, okay? And you'll need to steady yourself. A drill press would be perfect, but this is what we're going to use. Okay, now as you can see, I went down very far because that way the eye pen, I have a lot of glue space for the eye pen there, and since I have the white background, you're not going to see the drill shaft, the hole where I drilled, so it doesn't matter how long it is, okay? So you'll drill all of the pieces. You can take any little piece of wire, stick it in the hole to measure, and now you can take your eye pen and your little jewelry wire cutters and cut your eye pen. And be sure and save your little leftovers because you can use those too. Measure and see if you've cut off enough. Yep, just right. Go ahead and open up your eye. You open